Welcome, 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 friends and family all across the globe. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sandy, and I am a certified life and health coach, as well as the #1 best-selling author. Once a week, we go live on Facebook on The Voice, Live with Sandy, where we give a voice to the voiceless, and we speak about topics that many of our past generations did not want to or did not know how to do. This is our 6th episode of a 10-part series on letting go and finding your sparkle. In each session, we will try to discuss various topics of things that we want to let go and ways of making it happen so that we can find our sparkle again. And today we have a very special guest with us where we will have an in-depth discussion with my beautiful friend, 𝙑𝙬 𝙑𝙤𝙀. 𝙑𝙬 is known for almost 30 years as a choreographer, radio and TV personality, journalist, legal representative, singer, songwriter, videographer, producer, director, actor, model, and international master of ceremonies, CEO of 𝙑𝙤𝙀 Entertainments and Sugar Magazine, and also my very special voice on all my commercials and all my book commercials, as well as for STCC Dance Academy. Thank you for being with us here today, 𝙑𝙬, as we will be discussing on how to let go of a toxic friendship and ways of identifying a toxic friendship as well. Welcome again, and thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to do this with me. And we will be discussing a very important topic today. So 𝙑𝙬, in your opinion, what is a toxic relationship?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Shobha. It's always a pleasure to be on your program. And, I love being on it because we learn a lot. And I think you make sure and highlight things that need to be talked about. And toxic friendships are one of them. I think that people don't tend to take these things seriously. In terms of having toxic people around you, you feel that you have to just not say anything or just keep them around. But so let's define what it is basically. So, and I think you would agree, it's definitely a relationship that has a negative impact on your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. It takes a physical toll as well. They, exhibit harmful behaviors or maybe even bring out the worst in you kind of thing. As well as a lack of mutual respect, trust, support, and it can make you feel drained and unhappy and unfulfilled, just stressed out, maybe sleepless nights. An example could be jealousy, gossiping, manipulation, belittling, disrespect, and consistently putting other people down. It's not really nice when you hear it, So basically, that's, what a toxic relationship or friendship is. Consists of.
Yes, I agree with you. And then, like how do we recognize signs of a toxic relationship? For me, I think that some of the signs of a toxic friendship could be, like you said, lack of respect. A friend may be constantly disrespecting you, like you said, and I feel like it's not only like I feel, you have to make sure that you respect each other, you value each other's opinion, you value each other's boundaries, and like you said, like not making them uncomfortable. It's actually a one-sided relationship when you have a toxic friendship, and you may be only, they might only contact you when they need something or they want to talk to you about their own issues or their own problems, and they show little interest in your life or your feelings. Another thing that I find with a toxic friendship, and this is a huge one in our West Indian community, is gossiping. A toxic friend may frequently gossip about others, or they may share your private information without your consent. And I know that you and I have both had that happen to us. They can also be manipulating, they may use the manipulation tactics to control you or to get you to do what they want. They may also put you on guilt trips and also like emotional blackmail. And that's something like emotional blackmail is something that it's such a vast topic that it's probably a topic on its own, you know. And then I also think that a toxic friendship might be jealous of you and may show signs of jealousy towards you and also towards your friends, like your other friends or your other relationship, or even your accomplishments. They may try to sabotage your success or your happiness and give you negative feedback or negative, almost like complaining and criticizing. You know what I mean?
Of course,
And
like everything.
yeah. And it also is a lack of support. If you notice one of these signs, I think it's worth it to evaluate the relationship and consider if it's right for you. So Vashti, in today's society, why is it important for us to identify toxic friendships?
Well, it's definitely important for your own well-being, I think, because of the negative impact that it can have on you emotionally, mentally, and physically, causing all these different issues. You need to put a stop to it. And from a legal perspective, when you touched on the gossiping, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, yeah, you can talk about this and that and whatever, but once you talk about something that's untrue, it becomes slander, which in turn defames you. And that is a serious legal issue. So when things like that happen, especially things like that, you want to make sure and take action, because it can definitely, it can definitely damage your character, as well as your reputation. And that's something that some people work very hard, to uplift and maintain for very many years. So you've got to set boundaries, you've got to limit your contact, and maybe sometimes end the friendship altogether. It's sometimes a very hard thing to do, because you may have mutual friends. You may go to places that are, common areas, but you've got to pick and choose what's more important, your personal growth and health and mental health, or being in these places sometimes. Ultimately, identifying the toxic relationships or friendships allow you to take control of your life and well-being, because sometimes it derails and it just totally enrobes you and you're not able to control it. And then that's what kind of gets you affected mentally and emotionally and physically as well. So you've got to take control of your life back again. And sometimes you've got to set things and align things, your values and your goals, and see what's best for you.
Absolutely. A toxic relationship can significantly impact your mental health and emotional health. And, you find like, how do you like maybe find ways that I don't know, to identify that these things are affecting you emotionally or mentally? For me, I feel that it increases your stress level and your anxiety level. I get anxiety when I have things like that are stressing me out, and dealing with a toxic friendship can be very stressful and anxiety inducing. They may increase or create drama. And we all know that a toxic friend definitely creates drama and conflict. You may also feel that you're constantly on edge, and your esteem, you have like a low self-esteem, because this friend is constantly criticizing you or belittling you or your achievements and making you feel like you're not good enough. And
Even
this
if
can
it's not true.
Yes, I feel like it leads to low self-esteem and depression as well. Have you had do you have any one second. Do you have
Of course, especially if you're connected to someone for such a long time and you consider them to be a great friend, and then you may find out or feel like it's becoming a toxic friendship, you have to weigh your pros and cons, and then you're like, do I really want to let go of this friendship? And why are you friends in the first place? Is it just because of the companionship for, just to have a friend around? But is it worth it? Like, sometimes it's better being by yourself than just, continuing on with a toxic friendship, and you have sleepless nights, and you definitely, it's like you have to go through a grieving process, because you're losing a big part of your life that could have been maybe for some people a best friend, or
Yeah.
even if it's just an acquaintance, that void, there's a void that's left, right?
And it could be a long-term relationship too. And like you said, being by yourself. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was isolation. You know, a toxic friend may try to isolate you from your
Yeah.
other friends. So then you have your loved ones, you're leaving you alone, and you're now at the end of this relationship, you're now feeling disconnected. You have no support, and that was your only go-to person, right? So now you've lost trust. You lost trust. People have lost trust in you because you have isolated yourself, and that's part of manipulation and unreliability. You know.
Right.
You might even feel guilty and shame as well. You know,
Definitely embarrassed even to talk about something like that, because you've put your full trust and your everything into this friendship or relationship, and then to be embarrassed, like, maybe they're talking about you, or just the fact that it's ended. It's like, what did you do? Sometimes
yeah,
you get the blame for it,
yeah,
and you haven't done anything.
exactly.
Inherit that.
And that adds up to leading to fear and uncertainty, right? Because
Yeah.
like a toxic friend can create that environment of fear and uncertainty with you and your friends. And then if you're experiencing these things, any of these symptoms in a friendship, it's probably important to take steps to protect your mental health, to protect your emotional health, to protect your boundaries, and seek support from other people, or even finding a new friend. So Vashti, what do you think that the
Yeah.
toxic friendship impacts your life goals and your ambitions?
Well, you touched on something really important there I'd like to stress on, which is support. Because sometimes, so you're isolated and you feel like you're all alone and you've lost a friend. And if you don't have support, you may just end up sticking in that relationship or that friendship. But if you have support, it's easier, because then you have, you're able to pull away, and then they can maybe fill up your time or distract you with positive things. And you need positivity in your life, and positive friendships. So I think that's really important that you stressed on that. And I'm glad that you brought that up.
The support,
Support,
right? Yeah,
the support,
yeah,
because sometimes even though something is said about you, it may not be true, but it just makes you feel bad because somebody actually said that about you and it's not even true. So having supportive friends to actually reinforce the fact that, listen, this isn't you. Don't let it bother you. So you can have people talk about you, but it's how you react to the situation that is going to dictate how you move forward.
yeah. Well, I think I want to talk a little bit more about support, because on the other hand, if you have a friend who is in these conflicts, and it's ongoing, like sometimes there's bullying on Facebook, there's fighting with each other on Facebook, and we both have seen this on Facebook. And then you're told by one of your friends that you're not being supportive. How do you, like this happened to me, so I like, how do you deal with something like that, you know?
I don't think, social media on the whole is not a place to air out your dirty laundry. Now, some people may feel that it's, let me tell everybody because this
Yeah.
person upset me. Now, if it's something truthful and it could prevent someone from making a similar mistake,
Mm-hmm.
it may be something that you want to put out there, but it's not something that you want to I don't know, the whole drama. It's better to communicate one-on-one and
Wow.
trash it out. If you have a problem with somebody, tell
Yeah.
them. And if you're really a friend of theirs,
Yeah.
they'll listen and they'll understand and say, oh, maybe I didn't see this about myself. How could I make this different? And try to salvage the friendship. But
Yeah.
sometimes when you have people that are, this is another discussion, another kata for another day, but a narcissist who doesn't care, right? And they're just about themselves. They don't care about the friendship, and they never did in the first place. And it takes somebody else a while to kind of figure that out,
To
right?
see that, yeah. And then so for me, I had to I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, but I felt for my own well-being and for my own sanity and my own mental health, I needed to remove myself from that situation. So like you need to find things that support, like help you to support that decision that you've made, and you have to find friends that help you to support you in that decision that you've made. So in that sense, Vashti, toxic friendship can impact your ambitions, right? I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, and about your life goals and things that you've set out for yourself. So that comes back again to me, being a coach and being a life coach. I have set out those life goals for myself and my ambitions in helping women to not feel bullied or not feel like they're in a traumatic situation. So if something like that got out of hand on Facebook, I felt for me that I needed to remove myself so that I can support women in general, not just my friend, you know?
Right. I mean, like I said, if it's something that merits, or that you're, you're an expert in that field, and I'm by no means an expert in this field. It's just us talking as girls, just our own experiences, and maybe someone can learn something from it, the way we dealt with it, right? It's just being human. So it's not from a professional perspective at all, but what you're saying is the fear of success. When it comes to fear of success, so you're doing things and you want to, post it, and that's a great thing for some people, it's you sharing in your success, and some people are happy for you, but then some people are not. But it shouldn't stop you from being who you are. I mean, sometimes there's people that will encourage you in your goals and ambitions, but there's others that don't, and that's okay. Not everybody has to like you, right? But we just have to learn to accept that. And sometimes it's hard.
Exactly. Right? And I feel like if your friend is not supportive of you, or even critical of your goals or the decisions that you made, it may be demotivating, and it makes it harder for you to achieve the things that you've set out to do, because now you start to be like doubtful, like self-doubt yourself, and self-doubt yourself for the decisions that you've made, or the abilities that you might have. And it holds back to, it holds you back from pursuing things that you have set out to do, So if your friend is engaging in healthy and destructive behavior, I think it's hard for you to, to let go, because, if you've been with that friend for so long, it's hard to let go, but time and energy drains you, right? That, like when you're emotionally drained and you have that limited belief in yourself, I feel that it's hard to, like you feel that isolation, and you feel that lack of support, and you feel that you're being let down by your friends. So how do you deal with, the fear of success and things like that?
Well, I think, with success, this comes with it too. And so you have to expect that not everybody's going to like you or what you're doing. It doesn't mean to say that they're not right. It's just not something that they like, and that's okay. It's not, not everybody's going to like what you're doing. So you just keep doing what you do. If that's what makes you happy and that's what you want to do, and you do have people, and even if you don't have people that support you, if you want to do something, you do it, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
I think it should keep you from success, but sometimes when you have to deal with a toxic friendship, it takes up so much of your time, it drains you physically and mentally, emotionally, like it's just draining. And then sometimes you just want to put a wall and you just say, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. You have to set boundaries.
Yes, you do. And you have to surround yourself with people who would encourage and support your goals and your ambitions, your decisions. Because if you're in a toxic friendship that's holding you back, it may be time to evaluate, and take the steps to protect yourself,
They say, it was Shakespeare, I believe. Tell me who your friends are, I'll show you who you are.
My mother always uses that.
Yeah, that's what it is, And so, sometimes we feel sorry, we want to help a person in a difficult situation, but sometimes you just really have to put that boundary, because it's sucking the life out of you, literally, and you have to deal with your own. And if you're not, it's just like a safety mask, when you're in the plane, right? You put your own one first before you can help someone else, your child. You have to help yourself first to breathe, and you have to help yourself before you can help someone else. So you have to cut it off, cut everybody off. And if you can't help that person, you're not God. You try, but if you can't, you can't. And you have to help yourself first, make sure you're healed, and then you can, extend a hand to someone else.
Yeah. And also the other thing that I feel like is if, for instance, you've got trust issues, right? If your friend constantly is letting you down or betraying your trust, it can create trust issues that can affect your relationship, right? So
Definitely.
forming these healthy relationships is probably a good way to go.
Do
So
you
trust
think it's
issues, let's talk about that.
Yeah, do you think that it's affected your trust issues with friends? Like, do you find yourself not trusting friends as you would have before because of things that have happened?
Yes,
Really?
yes. I had a very good friend of mine. We shared a lot together, and we shared our kids together. So we shared going on trips and spending weekends together and everything. And she broke my trust for her own benefit, kind of thing, and actually threw me under the bus. And it was not a very nice situation. And it actually got really out of hand. It was almost to the point where it was defamation of my character and defamation of me as a person. And I had trusted her with a lot of my soul searching things. And I did have trust issues after that. And it took me a long time to actually build back friendships again. That was a couple of years ago, but now I've got great friends and I've got, good
How did
relationships.
you heal from that though? Like, what did you do to set your boundaries, and how did you get out of it?
It was almost like breaking up with a loved one or like a boyfriend or something, right?
Yeah, you have to go through a grieving process.
It was a grieving process. And the good thing about it was I, at the same time that this was happening, I was actually studying to get my RCM license, and I delved into that. I just delved into studying. I delved into my volunteering and doing the things and keeping me busy, and because I kept so busy, I actually was able to let go of it. And then I had my sister was helping me to deal with it, and she dealt with the situation where my character was in question. She dealt with that for me because I couldn't do it on my own.
So that's another thing. Do you think that maybe you should have done that yourself, and that would have helped the situation instead of letting someone else do it? Like, so do you like just break it off and just ignore the person for the rest of the time? Or do you actually say, listen, our friendship is over. This is done. I've had enough. So what do you feel was the best approach for you? Like, and what did you do?
So in regards to dealing with the characters attack on me, I let my sister do that because at the time I felt she was the most viable person and the most respectful person to be able to build that back for me. And then in regards to breaking up the relationship myself, I did that on my own. I did set that boundary, and I said, look, this is it. I'm done. I can't do this no more. And I need to form healthier relationships where it won't burn me down like this, not only physically, mentally, but also my character.
How did you feel then after saying that to that person?
I felt empowered.
Okay.
Because I was a little bit intimidated by this person, even though she was my friend.
Right.
There was a little bit of intimidation there. And
do you feel like you might tell your secrets to someone if you've shared secrets, or do you feel like
the secrets that I shared are now in my book, so it doesn't matter anymore. But at the time, it wasn't something that I was ready to share.
Right.
It took me a long time to share those things, and yes, I was afraid that she was going to either tell it to people that I didn't need them to know at the time, or confine in my children, because she was close to my daughters, and I didn't want my daughters to know at the time.
Right.
So, I had to set healthy boundaries, and I had to recognize that she was not treating me well, she was not treating me like as a person should, and she was undermining my abilities, and she was belittling my achievements. So it did create self-doubt and limited beliefs, and it did hold me back. Thank God I had that exams that I had to study for, it probably would have
Was
been
there
worse.
ever was there ever time that you didn't set a boundary and you just let it go? Like what was the consequence of not setting a boundary?
I think not setting boundaries, it also can affect your ongoing stress level. It can contribute to physical health as well. And it might even lead to high blood pressure or heart disease or digestive diseases. And I've got digestive diseases, so I have no clue if that's what caused it, So I feel it's important to address toxic friendships as soon as possible to minimize long-term effects like that.
Right,
And this may take, setting the boundaries and seeking the support from others.
right. And then you say, also you feel resentful and frustrated, and there's a lack of trust, as we discussed, the increased stress levels and low self-esteem and the negative impact on other relationships. So you've got to maintain those boundaries once you set them.
Exactly. Absolutely. So it is important to set the boundaries. How do you establish these healthy boundaries in a toxic relationship?
Well, you kind of learn from your experience, right? So you know what you've been through, but you can't just let that dictate your friendships. Like there's some really great friends out there that are to be had.
Do have
know.
good friends. Yes.
And yes, and I'm so grateful. Like I
And
have,
you're one of them.
you're one of mine too, Dee.
Thank you.
And some friends become family.
Yes.
And so, they say it takes a village. And as a single parent, I've had a lot of support from great friends for over 20 years, even before I had my son. And we're great friends. We're actually going to go out tomorrow and celebrate together. And we're both sponsors, so we can mention it, light it up,
Light it up.
yeah. And we're going to have my friends are going to be there. My brother's going to be there. My sister-in-law, great and close people to us. We're going to be celebrating together. And that's what it's about, because after going through whatever you've gone through, these are the moments that you want to have and to share memories and make memories together, and that's where,
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to end off to let the viewers know how to set the boundaries in a toxic friendship. And one of them is to identify your needs. Think about what you need from the friendship in order to feel respected, supported, and safe. One of the biggest words is to feel safe. And this may include things like clear communication, respect for your time, limits on certain behaviors, communication, like you said. And once you've identified these things, I think you can clearly communicate them to your friend, be direct and specific to avoid blaming or accusations and, bad languages, and try to, don't feel embarrassed or hurt if the other person does not reciprocate in sticking to your boundaries. But once you've established these boundaries, it's important to stick with them. It means it might lead to consequences, but I feel if you're consistent with it and that person gets to know who you are and these are your boundaries and they've accepted these boundaries, I think that you're on your way to a good relationship.
Yes, definitely. And I think that above all, self-care is important. So I'd like you to talk about that, because I'm sure that you have a lot to share on that.
Yeah, and so taking care of yourself and setting these boundaries, definitely self-care. For me, I have done things like meditation, exercise, diving into my dance classes where we're volunteering with the children. And for me, I felt like being with the children was like a therapy for me. And at the same time that I was letting go of that bad friendship, I was building that dance school. And I was building it to make it, a better place for children to be at. And I think that in the back of my head, I was identifying what young women needed, that I was robbed of in that friendship and that support and that community, and those are all self-care things that you need to do. So remember, when you're setting these boundaries and putting these stamps for yourself, support yourself, take care of yourself.
And even though, some people may not have a village like we do and supportive friends for very many years, you can still seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with that. You can seek the help of a therapist or a counselor, and that
Or
in
a coach.
a coach, exactly.
Yeah,
And we've gotten so many women, out of situations, and it's just a matter of talking. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to, and
yes,
that's okay, and
yes.
I think there's a stigma in our, especially in our community, that, oh, you want to go see a doctor
I
for this,
know.
that,
Yeah. In
can't
our
manage,
community,
but no, sometimes you really can't manage, and it's okay to seek professional help.
and that's the one thing that I want to say about our community. Back in the day where people would, if they found out you were seeking help or that you needed some kind of help, it's almost like frowned upon. But nowadays, I think that we're getting to that point where we recognize that these are things that are important to us.
Yes, definitely. And especially for men, because it's not just a woman thing. It's for men, it's a huge stigma, and they don't usually talk about their emotions, but guys have emotions too. They go through things as well, and they need help as well. And sometimes they don't want to tell their friends for fear of being ridiculed. So, you know what? Seek help, professional help. It's
And be
out there.
kind to yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So, with that being said, try not to, try not to stick with your old self. Learn from your mistake, learn from your past mistake, take positive steps, and be more fulfilling in your successful in your future.
Yes.
So, if you want, like I'm gonna, let the viewers know that if you want a free guide to the letting go of toxic friendship, please go to my website, 𝙑𝙑𝙀𝙗, or and click on Guide to Letting Go of Toxic Friendship. Or you can put your email at the bottom of this conversation in the comments, and my VA will simply send you a copy of it. It's a free guide, and it really does help. So thank you to my beautiful and talented Bhakti Durga in that discussion. Thank you so much for taking the time out. So until next week, we continue our 10-part series of letting go and having a wonderful week ahead of us. But before that, we're gonna have a wonderful weekend. And I know that we will have a memorable one this weekend. Like you said, we're going to be spending it with a lot of friends, and lighting it up with Raven Ram Narayan.
And together with you, thank you so much for having me again, and continued success.